Hi guys, how are you? So today we're wrapping up our winter session and I thought that we would maybe end with a drawing of a penguin. So he's kind of a cartoony little penguin guy and you're going to need your pencil, eraser, oil pastels, and your watercolor supplies. Okay, so it's a little simpler than some of our other stuff that we've done, but I just think he's kind of fun and cute, and I thought it would be a good way to end our class. So go get your supplies, and I'll see you in a few minutes, okay? Thanks. Hey guys, I'm sorry, I just remembered that there were a few optional supplies that you could bring to your table. Some Epsom salt or some regular table salt if you have some. Also, masking tape or blue painter's tape to put around your image so that the watercolor doesn't wrinkle the paper. Those are optional, but you have them. If you have them, go ahead and get those now too, okay? Thanks. Okay guys, so for our penguin, we're gonna make sure that our paper is vertical, so tall instead of landscape, which would be sideways. And we're going to draw our little penguin. Let's start with his head. Make sure it's up in the top half of our page. It's just going to be a circle. It can be a little bit of a flattened circle, so like a little bit of an oval. Kind of like that. And then we're going to start right here, kind of in what would be like the corner of his head. And we're going to come down and go out and come back in like that. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Kind of like that. And then we'll come around and give him a more flat bottom. And we'll give him two little feet down here. Now over here on the side, we're going to give him little wings that are going to kind of go over top of this space. So they're going to start, I don't know, about, right here, about a third of the way down his body. If you take his body and divide it into 3 parts, it'd be about where the top third is. And we're going to just go down and then come back up around to like where his neck is. Right there. And same thing on this side. And make sure that his little wings are the same length. Come up to his neck like that. And then we're going to erase our first line. Okay, and they don't need to be identical, but I'm looking at mine and realizing that this should maybe be a little bit wider. So I'm going to go and fix that now. So if you have any changes you want to make before we get too invested in our shape, go ahead and do that now. Okay, so there's our little body. And then for our head, let's see, we're going to put his nose right in the center. And that's going to be like an upside down triangle, a small upside down triangle. Okay. Underneath of that, we're going to put kind of like a little smiley face, but very small, just like that. And then from this point on our left, we're going to go in just a little bit towards his nose and then up and around and down to the center. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to start here, go in towards his nose a little bit, up and around, and in towards the center. Okay, and then we're going to give him two little eyes. Like that. And that is basically it for our drawing. I know this one's a little simpler than we've done in a while, but I feel like we've done so many challenging drawings that I just wanted to do something a little easier and just fun. Okay, so there's our penguin. Now I want you to go get your oil pastels, and you can also get your watercolors and your Epsom salts if you're going to use them. So go get your supplies and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have my pastels. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get out a gray. I'm basically just using white, gray, and black for our actual penguin. So I'll get my white, my gray, and where'd my black go? Here's my black. Okay, so I'm going to start on his body, and I'm going to put the gray in wherever I think there's going to be a little bit of shadow. So right here, like under his neck. Right in there. And then over here under his little wings. Maybe over here under his belly. And then I'm just going to put a few other lines that just sort of show the shape of his body. So just some kind of curved lines. Something like that. And then I'm going to take my white and I'm going to go over top of this whole area. And what that's going to do is it's going to blend in the gray, you know, kind of push it into the paper, but it's also going to make it so that we can spread it a little bit better. So we're going to kind of fade out these areas into the white. Now on his belly here, I'm kind of using that same kind of half circle motion that I was using for his belly directional lines to kind of show the shape of his belly. Okay, and this is a technique that I use a lot for blending in my oil pastels. There's many different ways to do it, but I like putting down a foundational color and then blending it in with another color. You can still add other things on top of it, but this is a technique that I like to use. Okay, so that's his body, and then we'll get his little wings in. And now when you do his wings, make sure you don't go horizontal like that. Make sure you stay within the wing, because if you go horizontal, you're going to pull this gray from his belly into his arm. You don't want to do that. So make sure that you just go up and down. And then you can go down along that side there. Okay? You don't have a lot of little pieces like I do. That's okay. You can very gently brush them off or just ignore them. Either way is fine. Okay, so now I have my basic penguin. I do want to go in though and make some of these spots a little bit darker. So now I'm going to take my black and maybe come in just on some of the darkest points to give it a little bit more depth. further. There, something like that. And then I'm going to take my gray to kind of smooth that out. I'm putting a little bit more gray in this one than I did in my earlier ones. I'm not sure why. I just kind of feel like he's got a little bit more gray in him. And then I'm going to go back over with my white to kind of help smooth that transition. And you can go back and forth and do this as many times as you want. You could also add in other colors if you feel like just having fun with your penguin. You know, don't feel like you have to use the same colors as me. You could go back in and, you know, use blues or purples or, you know, really anything you want if you just want to have fun with it. I'm trying to make my penguin look obviously cartoony, but a little bit more realistic as far as the colors go. But you can do whatever you want. So that's basically my little guy's belly. Very lightly, I'm going to brush those off. If you press too hard, you'll mess up your whole drawing. So just lightly brush those off. Then I'm going to go do his little feet. His little feet are black. Go. Okay, then I'm gonna come up here and do his little head. Let me, yeah, let's just start with the black. So what we're gonna do is this outer section here. And I'm going to go around his eyes and around his little triangle nose. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Oil pastel's a little clumsy to work with if you're trying to be precise. So, you know, we're going to be precise-ish. But, you know, that's not a perfect triangle. It doesn't have nice crisp points to it, and that's totally okay. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like that for a second. I'm going to do his eyes last. His eyes are going to be black as well, but I'm not going to do them yet. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put his little nose in with the gray. So kind of make a triangular-ish nose. We could also put a couple of gray spots if we wanted to, just a couple though, because really when we put in our white, which we're going to do next, we're going to put in his face first. You know, don't go over the eyes just do the white part. And right now I'm not going to touch the black at all. I'm going to try to just do the center part of this space, but you'll see in a minute that we're going to end up touching the black, and when we do that, it will pull just a smidge of that color in, and that will help to give us some dimension to his face. Okay, so now I've colored my basic area in, so I'm just going to go right along this edge. Just to sort of soften this line. And I'm just kind of going back and forth with little motions, little tiny lines. There, like that. Okay, and then if you wanted to, you could go back in around the face and just bring a little bit of that color into his face to give it some direction. Okay, I'm going to very lightly brush this. It's best to just do that over the trash can. Okay, now I'm going to put in his little black eyes. There we go. And his face is basically done. Just step back and get a good look at it. Make sure his eyes are the same. There we go. So there's our cute little penguin. Okay. Just trying to blend his little feet in just a smidge better. There, something like that. Okay, now we're gonna do our ground also with our chalk pastels, or oil pastels, I'm sorry. And for that, because this is snowy, I'm just gonna use some blues, some nice cool blue, and get this one out. I'm just gonna make some strokes. I'm gonna make my horizon line right here where our ground meets our sky. And then just, you know, whatever. If you want to put like a little hill back here, you could do that. But basically, we're just putting color in. And then we're going to go over that with our white. Make sure you go over that horizon line real well. And remember not to go into our penguin. You don't want to bring this color into him. So we're just staying in the snowy area. I'm going to actually try not to touch his feet because I really don't want to bring that black in. A little tiny bit is okay, but I'm afraid of getting too much. And all of these strokes should be horizontal, so left and right, not up and down. If you do go up and down, like around the penguin, like I'm doing right here, then go over top of it afterwards with left and right strokes. Okay, and that is a pretty decent foreground. I am going to take a little bit of a darker blue shade and just get a tiny bit of like a light shadow like underneath of him. I'm just using really light pressure. There we go, something like that. You know, and if you want to add some darker in some other places, that's fine too. Just use really, really light pressure so that it's not too strong. Okay, and that is it for our foreground. So now we're going to go on to our watercolor. What I'm going to do is go take this to the trash can and very, very gently try to shake this off or blow this off. I don't want to rub it too much in this area, especially on the top. So go and try to remove some of this stuff, but be very, very careful not to spread it too much into the sky, okay? Okay, so I shook off most of what I could, you know, and I realized I made a bigger mess here than I thought I did. There's a lot of kind of black stuff in here. I don't know, that's okay. I didn't plan to do that. I didn't do that in my other one, but you know what? Sometimes stuff happens. It's okay. So now we're going to move into our watercolors. I'm going to take just a wet brush. My brush, I just dipped it in water, and I'm going to go back and forth along my sky. Oh, if you guys wanted to tape down the edges of your image, now would be a good time. If you have that masking tape or that blue painter's tape, now is the time to definitely do that. That's one supply I just don't have right now, and I don't know why I keep forgetting to go and get some, but I do. So like I said before, what I always do with my watercolors, if I don't have tape to tape down the edges, is that I let it dry like 98%, and then I'll stick it under a heavy book for like the rest of the day. Okay, so that's nice and wet. Now I'm just going to pick out some fun colors. For this, I'm really just feeling blues, purples, maybe a little bit of teal, and just play with it. I'm going to do patches of color, mostly just because I want it to be fun. I'm also not going to put blue down at the bottom, so if you want to use blue, I would use it up higher so that it doesn't blend in with the ground. Down here, maybe I'll throw in some purples. You know, and let them blend into one another. Just have fun with it. And then if you have different shades of blue or different shades of purple, you can throw that in. Here I have a darker shade. That first shade was a little bit rosier. So maybe now I'll try a little bit of a darker purple. And now I'm going to try some teal. Maybe I'll put a tiny bit of pink in here. See what that does. Okay. I think I'm just gonna finish up my top part of my sky with a good strong blue. And I think a good strong purple down here. Nice dark one down at the bottom. You know, and you can still go in and throw in more color if you have some big splotches that you kind of want to break up. Just play around with it and have fun. Okay, something like that. And then if you have Epsom salts, or you can also just use table salt if you have it. Now is the time to get your salt and sprinkle that in. pinch, you know, just a little pinch. There. And there we go. So that is my penguin painting, and I'm just gonna let this sit until it dries, and then I'm going to wipe my salt off. You don't have to wipe the salt off. If you like it, you can leave it there. I'm primarily gonna remove mine because I want it to lay flat. I'm gonna put it under a book, and then I'll probably put a mat around it, maybe frame it, I don't know. But you know, if you wanna leave the salt, that's fine. But I at least let it do its thing. I wait for it to dry, and then I'll just gently brush that off into the trash can and be done with it. So I hope you guys like this drawing. I just think it was kind of fun. Hey guys, so I hope that you enjoyed this assignment. I just think it was kind of fun and a good way to end. So I hope you guys are all doing well and have a good week. This is our last class for this session, so if you signed up for the next session, then I'll see you again next week. If not, I hope that you did enjoy the time that we spent together, and maybe we'll see you again in the future, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.